Conclusion, having decided the 1. Relevant constitution of Shivsena, 2. Leadership structure, and 3. The relevant point of the relevant point for the purpose of determining the preliminary issue, I have made the following analysis, observations and determinations on the preliminary issue of which faction was the real political party when two factions emerged. For the purpose of analyzing, discussing and determining the issue, the faction of the petitioner is hereinafter referred to as UBT faction, and likewise the respondent's faction is referred to as the Shinde faction. The applicability of the test of aims and objectives. I am not going into the details of reading the applicability of the test of aims and objectives, because as you are aware that in accordance with the directions of the Apex Court and otherwise, the speaker is not required to get into the political thicket with regards to the aims and objectives of a political party. So I am restricting it to pronouncement, and you can have a look at it once you apply for the certified copy. The reason why Shivsena constitution assumes significance is to analyze whether the question of which faction is the real political party is discernible from the leadership structure identifiable from the said Shivsena constitution. So the Shivsena constitution is relevant to the extent of identifying the leadership structure. Leadership structure as a criteria to determine who was the real political party. As I have already held, which is the relevant constitution and the leadership structure of the Shivsena to be taken into account for deciding the preliminary issue, I now have to see whether the relevant leadership structure read with the SS constitution provides answers to the question which faction is the real political party and consequently determine the same. The UBT faction there are submissions made which have been recorded of both the sides, which are at paragraph 113 and 114 of my order. In view of the above recorded submissions of the parties, there emerges two further questions: whether 2018 leadership structure is in conformity with the constitution of Shivsena. Number 2, whether will all the Paksha Pramukh whether will of the Paksha Pramukh and or majority leaders in the 2018 leadership structure could be said to be synonymous with the will of the political party. So we further have to derive get answers to two more questions. The primary one being whether 2018 leadership structure is in conformity as provided by the constitution, and number 2, whether the will of the Paksha Pramukh and or majority of the leaders reflects the will of the political party. As there are contrasting submissions on the question, it is necessary to peruse the SS constitution and the 2018 leadership structure and then record a finding as to whether the 2018 leadership structure is in conformity with the constitution of the Shivsena. Thus, I have taken a comparative look at the 2018 leadership structure and the SS constitution and have arrived at the following observations and conclusions. A. 2018 leadership structure mentions Shivsena Paksha Pramukh into bracket president as the highest office of the SSPP. However, in the SS constitution, the highest office of the Shivsena political party is Shivsena Pramukh, but the said constitution distinguishes highest office and the highest authority and provides that Rashtriya Karyakarni is the highest authority whose decision shall be final. Shivsena SS constitution provides that the members of the Rashtriya Karyakarni shall be called as Shivsena leaders and provides for a total number of 19 members, out of which 14 are to be elected by the Pratinidhi Sabha and the rest of the 5 members are to be appointed by Shivsena Pramukh. However, the 2018 leader structure envisages only 13 members in the Rashtriya Karyakarni, out of which 19 are to be elected and the remaining 4 are to be appointed. SS Constitution provides for a total number of 21 deputy leaders, out of which 17 are to be elected by the Pratinidhi Sabha and the rest of the 4 members are to be appointed by Shivsena Pramukh. However, the 2018 leader structure envisages 33 deputy leaders, out of which 21 are to be elected and the remaining 12 are to be appointed. The 2018 leadership structure provides for 3 categories of office bearers, vis-a-vis Secretary, Samanvayak and Sanghatak. However, the Constitution of Shivsena provides for 3 categories of office bearers, vis-a-vis President, Sarchitnis, General Secretary, Koshadhyaksha, Treasurer. From the observation recorded in the preceding paragraphs, it is evident that the 2018 leadership structure is not at all in conformity with the Constitution of Shivsena. In view of this finding alone, it could very well be concluded that the 2018 leadership structure, which is not in conformity with the Constitution of Shivsena, cannot be taken as the yardstick to determine which faction was the real political party at the relevant point of time. In view of the same, I have come to the conclusion that the 2018 leadership structure read with the SS Constitution does not provide a reliable outcome and or answer the question which faction is the real political party, and hence cannot be relied upon to determine the said preliminary issue. Nevertheless, I am inclined to look at the second question regarding paragraph 115 here and above, where will of the Paksha Pramukh and or majority leaders in the 2018 leadership structure could be said to be synonymous with the will of the political party, so as to not leave any stone unturned in arriving at a decision. The determination of this question arises out of the alternate submissions made by the UBT faction that the 2018 leadership structure has to be taken ex facie, and the determination of which faction was the real political party has to be solely based on the said leadership structure without a comparison of the said structure with the leadership structure provided for in the Constitution of the Shivsena. The said proposition would run counter to the principles laid down by the Honorable Apex Court in Subhash Desai Supra, where it was specifically provided that the leadership structure which has to be taken into consideration while determining the real political party has to be identifiable by the relevant constitution. Thus, although in the light of my finding on the preceding question, the aspect need not be looked into, however, I intend to look into the said aspect any which way, considering the gravity and importance of the dispute. Hence, following are my observations, findings and conclusions on the said aspect. UBT faction has submitted that the decision of the Paksha Pramukh is synonymous with the will of the political party, and thus, if there is a rift in the leadership structure, the decision of the Paksha Pramukh constitutes the will of the political party. This proposition is devoid of merit, as I do not find any substance to allow the same. The reason for the same are recorded herein below. The proposition perhaps would have been a valid point if the party president was the sole repository of the decision making with respect of the policy and administration of the party. For analyzing the said submissions, a perusal of the SS Constitution was made. The SS Constitution provided that Rashtriya Karyakarni shall be the highest authority of the party, and its decision in all matters concerning the party policy and party administration shall be final. It is also to be noted that the Paksha Pramukh is only a presiding member of the said highest authority in the party and in no way is the sole repository of decision making in the party. Thus, in view of the same, the submission that the decision and or the will of the Paksha Pramukh is synonymous with the will of the political party cannot be accepted. It would be appropriate to note that the SS Constitution does not even have a post called Paksha Pramukh. However, it was argued by the UBT faction that the nomenclature difference in the 2018 leadership structure and the SS Constitution is not a relevant factor for the purpose of deciding the preliminary issue. Even though I have held in paragraph 117 that 2000 leadership structure is not at all in conformity with SS Constitution, I shall consider this submission. The Constitution of Shivsena provides for Shivsena Pramukh. The submission of the petitioner that Shivsena Pramukh mentioned in the SS Constitution is the same post of Shivsena Paksha Pramukh termed in the 2018 leadership structure. By relying on the powers of Shivsena Pramukh, it was argued by the UBT faction that he is the authority under the party constitution vested with the powers to remove any member of the party. Thus, it was further argued that an authority who is vested with such power of removal reflects the will of political party with respect to removal of members from and for anti-party activities. However, a complete reading of the said provision in the party constitution reveals that the said submission is factually wrong. The said provision in relation to the powers of Shivsena Pramukh clearly provides that such a power is not absolute and it has to be exercised in consultation with the Rashtriya Karyakarani. Further, it has to be noted that such a power is only available to the Shivsena Pramukh for the purpose of removal of members mentioned in Article 8, Schedule B of the said Constitution. The said schedule does not deal with leaders of the party. Leaders of the party is given under Schedule A of the said article. Thus, Shivsena Pramukh does not have any power to remove any leader of the party. Thus, the submission of the petitioner that Shri Uddhav Thackeray, Vide, letter dated 30/6/2022, had removed Shri Eknath Shinde from the post of Shivsena leader cannot be accepted as such power are not vested with the party president. Hence, on this ground also, the submission that the decision and or the will of the Paksha Pramukh is synonymous with the will of the political party cannot be accepted. If this proposition is accepted, then in a situation where the party president, who is also a legislator, itself defects, then he could simply escape the wrath of the 10th schedule by pleading that his decision is the will of the party. Further, if this proposition is to be accepted, it would mean that no member can ever voice concern against the party president, and the party president might possibly be able to seek disqualification against any member who questions his credibility. This would run contrary to the concept of intra-party dissent. In view of the clear and unequivocal finding of the Honorable Supreme Court at paragraph 183 to 190 of Subhash Desai, I will be falling foul of the judgment of the Honorable Supreme Court in Kyoto Holohan, wherein the constitutional validity of the 10th schedule was itself upheld on the grounds that it is not an anti-dissent law if this proposition is accepted. I shall now proceed to consider whether the will of the majority leaders in the 2018 leadership structure is synonymous with the will of the political party. An alternate submission was made that even if the Paksha Pramukh is not accepted as the repository of the will of the political party, the decision of the leadership structure has to be construed as synonymous with the will of the political party.